Welcome back to Skytech-Lens. It began with a move that sent tremors through global financial markets. In the summer of 2025, the Trump administration, fixated on a staggering trade deficit with Switzerland, extended a sweeping tariff to include Swiss gold. The immediate reaction was chaotic. Gold futures rocketed to a record high as traders scrambled to understand the implications. For decades, Swiss gold had flowed seamlessly into the United States, underpinning the liquidity and stability of its financial systems. The tariff effectively severed this critical artery overnight. Swiss President Karin Keller-Sutter made an urgent trip to Washington, D.C., hoping to secure an exemption. Her arguments fell on deaf ears. The administration was unyielding, convinced that its aggressive posture would force Switzerland to concede. Swiss gold exports to the U.S. collapsed by over 99%. Then came the whiplash. President Trump abruptly reversed the decision via a post on social media. The tariff on Swiss gold was scrapped as suddenly as it had been imposed. While the reversal brought relief, the damage had been done. A formal, legally binding commitment was needed to restore confidence and prevent such a crisis from recurring. To understand the U.S. tariff on Swiss gold, one must grasp Switzerland's dominance in the global gold market. Switzerland is the world's refining hub, processing an estimated 70% of all gold mined globally. Its refineries produce high-purity bars that meet the stringent requirements of central banks. The Swiss-made label on a gold bar is a guarantee of weight, purity, and integrity. When the U.S. imposed its tariff, it questioned whether it could source this critical asset from elsewhere. The answer was a resounding no. Alternative refining nations simply do not possess the capacity to replace the Swiss supply chain. In the first quarter of 2025 alone, Switzerland exported a colossal $36 billion worth of gold to the United States. This gold is not just sitting in vaults, it is used to back financial instruments and ensure liquidity in the market. The irreplaceability of Swiss gold gave Switzerland immense leverage. The Swiss refineries are critical nodes in the global financial network. Their output is deeply integrated into the supply chains of other vital sectors. The tariff was not just a tax on a shiny metal. It was a disruption that threatened to affect multiple facets of the global economy. The Trump administration's tariff on Swiss gold was intended to be a surgical strike against a trade deficit, but it quickly threatened to inflict significant self-inflicted wounds on the U.S. economy. Gold is a core reserve asset for the Federal Reserve and a key benchmark for global markets. The sudden price volatility and supply uncertainty created by the tariff impacted the Fed's ability to manage its reserves. The prospect of a sustained premium on gold was projected to raise bond yields, increasing borrowing costs. This financial instability prompted serious concern among major U.S. financial institutions. The investment bank J.P. Morgan projected a chilling scenario. The Federal Reserve might be forced to intervene directly to calm the markets. Such a move would be a clear sign of systemic stress. The tariff, designed to save money, was now threatening to cost the U.S. taxpayer billions in emergency stabilization efforts. The economic fallout was not the only challenge. The tariff also exposed and deepened political divisions within the United States. The policy created a strange and fractured landscape of allies and opponents. The outcome of this legal battle would have profound implications, not just for the Swiss gold dispute, but for the very limits of presidential power in matters of international trade. Faced with an existential threat to its most vital industry, Switzerland did not panic. Instead, it responded with precision and strategic calculation. Swiss negotiators skillfully linked the gold tariff to other high-value exports critical to the U.S. market. The message was subtle but firm. Pressure on gold would be met with friction across the board. This strategy was designed to create leverage by highlighting mutual dependencies. Switzerland hinted that a relaxation of the gold tariff could be met with Swiss concessions in other areas. This approach turned the negotiation from a zero-sum confrontation into a potential win-win scenario. However, on one issue, Switzerland refused to yield, its long-standing tradition of banking secrecy. By drawing this clear red line, Swiss negotiators defined the boundaries of any potential compromise. They made it clear that while they were willing to negotiate on trade, they would not sacrifice their core national principles. This firm but flexible stance put the ball back in Washington's court. Their strategy was a masterclass in how a smaller nation can effectively stand up to a superpower. The U.S. tariff on Swiss gold was not a contained explosion. Its shockwaves impacted a web of interconnected industries. The most immediate victim was Switzerland's iconic watchmaking industry. High-end timepieces often incorporate significant amounts of gold. The tariff hit this sector hard, with exports to the United States plummeting. This disruption highlighted the intricate supply chains that bind nations together. U.S. jewelers who depended on Swiss gold saw their raw material costs skyrocket. The policy, intended to punish Switzerland, was inadvertently penalizing American artisans and retailers. Another crucial sector caught in the crossfire was the pharmaceutical industry. Switzerland is home to global giants like Novartis and Roche, which have a massive presence in the United States. The escalating trade tensions created a climate of profound uncertainty. The dispute served as a powerful reminder that gold's value extends far beyond its monetary role. The tariff threatened to clog the arteries of innovation and production in some of America's most advanced industries. The gold tariff dispute ignited a fierce political firestorm on both sides of the Atlantic. In the United States, the policy drove a wedge between different domestic interest groups. The Trump administration found an unlikely ally in the mining lobbies. They saw the tariff as leverage to force Switzerland's hand on ethical issues. This support was drowned out by opposition from other sectors of the American economy. Jewelers, electronics manufacturers, and industrial consumers of gold were aghast at the sudden spike in their costs. This internal conflict created a dilemma for lawmakers. The political divisions were just as palpable within Switzerland. The U.S. tariff was seen almost universally as an act of economic aggression. However, there were debates about the best path forward. The crisis forced Switzerland to confront its own place in a world increasingly defined by superpower rivalries. As the dust from the tariff shock began to settle, both the United States and Switzerland were forced to confront a critical question: what is the endgame? A prolonged standoff was untenable. With both sides facing significant risks, the focus shifted from confrontation to compromise. A leading proposal began to emerge from the back-channel discussions. This potential compromise centered on a partial transparency deal. The U.S. would agree to scrap the tariff on gold. In exchange, Switzerland would make concessions on origin certification for its bullion. This proposed compromise offered a pragmatic solution. For the Trump administration, it would allow them to claim a win. For Switzerland, it would secure the future of its gold refining industry. However, the compromise would not be without cost. The path to compromise is narrow, but the alternative is a journey into uncharted economic territory. The dispute over Swiss gold is far more than a simple trade squabble. It's a microcosm of the shifting dynamics of global power and the increasing weaponization of economic policy. This standoff has thrown into sharp relief the delicate interplay between national sovereignty, financial stability, and international trade. It demonstrates how a single action against a critical node in the global financial system can have far-reaching consequences. The tariff was not just a tax, it was a test of the resilience of the financial architecture. At its core, the conflict highlights the unique role of gold in the modern financial system. The market's chaotic reaction proved that governments cannot print trust. The dispute has set a potentially dangerous precedent for international relations. It signals a world where trade deficits can be addressed with punitive actions. Ultimately, the resolution of the U.S.-Switzerland gold dispute will send a powerful message about the future of global trade. Its outcome will help define the rules of the game for years to come. Thanks for watching. Subscribe the channel for more videos.